Welcome to Cupid's Corner, where love stories come alive. Sit back, relax, and let the tales of romance sweep you off your feet.
Love Among the Ruins. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across the crumbling storefronts of what was once the bustling town of Maplewood. Jake crouched behind a rusted car, the faint whimper of the wind almost drowned out by the distant groans of the undead. He peered around the vehicle, his breath steady, his senses honed from years of survival. Ugh, growling, a zombie shuffled into view, its decaying limbs dragging against the pavement. Jake's heart raced. He had learned to keep his distance, but today, it felt different. Today, something was off. Suddenly, a rustle came from the nearby alley. Jake's eyes narrowed. He shifted his grip on the makeshift weapon, a sharpened piece of pipe. "Show yourself," he called, his voice low and firm. Footsteps echoed, hurried and light. "I'm not here to hurt you." A woman's voice rang out, laced with urgency. Jake's instincts screamed at him to flee, but curiosity held him in place. "Who are you?" he demanded, coming out from behind the car, pipe raised. The figure stepped into the fading light, a woman in her late 20s, hair tied back in a messy ponytail, dirt smudged across her cheek. "Elena," she said, lifting her hands, palms out. "I'm just looking for supplies. Please, I mean no harm." "Supplies? You think I'm just going to hand them over?" Jake narrowed his eyes, still on guard. Elena's gaze flickered to the zombie now lurching closer. "You might want to focus on that instead," she said, nodding toward the undead. Jake followed her gaze just in time to see the creature stumble forward. "Damn," he muttered, before launching into action. With swift moves, he swung his pipe, connecting with a sickening thud that silenced the creature. "Nice work," Elena said, her voice steadying. "You've done this before." "Too many times," Jake replied, lowering the pipe. "What's your deal? You're out here alone." "I'm not alone," she said, her tone sharpening. "I have my brother. Miguel." "Miguel?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "You're risking both your lives to scavenge here?" "Every day is a risk. We need food, medicine." The softness in her voice betrayed a fierce determination. "We're not giving up." Jake studied her, intrigued by her resolve. "You're either brave or foolish." "Maybe both," Elena replied, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "And you? A lone wolf trying to survive?" "Something like that." He hesitated, then added, "You should leave. This place isn't safe for either of us." "Not until I find what I need," she said, glancing around as if assessing her options. "But maybe we could work together. Strength in numbers." He shook his head. "I don't trust anyone." "Neither do I," she shot back, her green eyes fierce. "But I can't let Miguel down. If you help me, I'll help you. Just until we find what we need." With a sigh, Jake relented. "Fine. But we stick to the plan. Quick and quiet." "Deal," Elena said, her smile widening, lighting up her dirt-streaked face. Together, they moved through the remnants of the town, scavenging supplies, wary of both the undead and the shadows lurking in the alleys. Their chemistry became apparent, the air charged with unspoken words and shared glances. Hours passed, and they found a small cache of canned goods in a toppled store. As they sifted through the supplies, Elena's fingers brushed against Jake's. She glanced up, her breath hitching slightly, but she quickly masked it with a chuckle. "Looks like we hit the jackpot. Let's not get ahead of ourselves." "We still have to get out of here," Jake said, his voice low. But as they turned to leave, a loud crash echoed nearby. Elena's eyes widened in alarm. What was that? "Stay close," Jake ordered, gripping the pipe tightly. They slipped into the shadows, hearts pounding, and listened as footsteps approached. A group of rough-looking survivors emerged from the wreckage. "Search the place. I want everything." A tall man barked, his voice grating. "Looks like we're not the only ones hunting for supplies," Jake muttered. What do we do? Elena whispered, her body tensing beside him. Back to the alley. We can slip past them, Jake suggested, keeping his voice steady. As they maneuvered through the debris, a sudden noise made them freeze. A low growl emanated from the darkness. A zombie had found them. Run! Jake shouted, pushing Elena ahead of him as he swung the pipe at the approaching creature, the impact sending it staggering back. They dashed into the alley, adrenaline surging through their veins. Just as they reached the other end, a hand grabbed Jake's shoulder, spinning him around. "Let go of me," he growled, ready to swing again. "Wait, it's me." Elena gasped, breathless. "Did you lose your mind?" Jake snapped, glancing back at the alley. "We need to move." "I know," she said, her eyes wide with urgency. "But we can't leave without Miguel. He's waiting for me at the old school." "What? You didn't mention he was here." Jake's voice rose, panic creeping in. "He's safe for now. But I promised I'd be back before dark. We have to go, Jake." "Lead the way," he relented, knowing the weight of her determination. As they navigated the streets, Elena's worry for her brother fueled her steps. Jake stayed close, his protective instincts kicking in. They reached the school, its walls crumbling, windows shattered. "Miguel!" Elena shouted, scanning the area. "Shoo!" Jake hissed, pulling her back. "You don't know who's here." "Miguel." She called again, her voice trembling. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a teenage boy, disheveled but alive. "Elena." Miguel rushed toward her, relief flooding his face. "Thank God," Elena whispered, pulling him into a tight embrace. Jake stood back, watching the bond between the siblings. It stirred something in him, a longing he hadn't felt in years. "Are you hurt?" Elena asked, pulling back to examine him. "No, but I saw some guys. They were taking people." His face paled. "They were looking for you." "Damn it," Jake muttered, glancing toward the street. "We need to move. Now." They slipped inside the school, barricading the door with a fallen desk. "Do you think they saw you?" Elena asked, her voice tight with worry. "I don't know," Miguel replied, his brow furrowed. "But they were armed." Elena's eyes darted around the room, finally landing on Jake. "What do we do? We can't stay here." "Let's find a way out through the back," Jake suggested, stepping cautiously toward the door. As they crept through the hallways, Jake's instincts kicked in. He could hear muffled voices outside. The gang had arrived. "Stay quiet," he instructed, motioning for them to follow. Elena nodded, her resolve firm. "We have to get out of here." Just then, a loud crash shook the door, splintering the wood. "Go!" Jake shouted, pushing Elena and Miguel forward as he braced himself against the door. "Jake, no!" Elena cried, panic rising in her voice. "I'll hold them off. Just go." He felt the door buckle under the weight of the attackers. Elena hesitated, fear and desperation battling in her eyes. "We're not leaving you behind. Trust me. Now." With one final shove, he pushed them through a window, their escape route. "I'll find you," he yelled, as the door burst open. Jake swung the pipe at the first thug that entered, adrenaline coursing through him. Crack, the men fell, but more rushed in. Elena and Miguel stumbled outside, breathless and terrified. "Jake!" She screamed, her heart aching as she pushed against the window. "Go!" He shouted again, desperation lacing his words. "Get to safety." Elena's heart twisted, but she turned, dragging Miguel with her as they sprinted down the street. "Where do we go?" Miguel gasped, fear evident in his voice. "Anywhere but here," she replied, her mind racing. "We'll find a place to hide." Suddenly, a gunshot rang out, echoing through the air. "Run!" Elena urged, pulling Miguel along as they ducked into a nearby alley. They pressed against the cold brick wall, hearts pounding. "What about Jake?" Miguel asked, panic rising in his voice. "He'll find us," she whispered, trying to reassure them both. But doubt crept in. As they crouched, waiting for the chaos to subside, Elena's mind raced. She couldn't lose Jake. Not after everything they'd been through. "Maybe we can circle back," Miguel suggested, his voice trembling. "No," Elena shook her head, determination hardening within her. "We can't leave him. We have to go back." "Are you crazy?" Miguel protested. "He told us to run." "I don't care. He risked everything for us," she said, her voice rising. "We owe it to him to try." Miguel's eyes widened. "You want to confront those guys? They'll kill us." "We'll have to be smart," she insisted. "We can't let fear control us." Just then, the sounds of shouting and commotion erupted nearby. "Over here." They went this way. Elena's heart raced. "We have to move. Now." They retraced their steps, weaving through the alleys, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. There was no turning back. They had to find Jake. Where would he go? Miguel asked, fear overtaking his voice. "Back to the last safe spot we were at, that old gas station," Elena said, her mind racing. They hurried to the gas station, adrenaline propelling them forward. The sun had dipped below the horizon, the world cloaked in darkness. "Miguel, keep an eye out," she instructed, scanning the area. "Got it," he whispered, his eyes wide, alert. Elena's heart pounded as she pushed through the doors of the gas station, the smell of oil and rust filling her nostrils. "Jake!" she called, her voice echoing in the silence. "Please be here," she murmured, anxiety clawing at her. Suddenly, a noise came from the back. They rushed toward it, Elena's heart soared. "Jake! Is that you?" he called back, his voice hoarse but alive. "Thank God!" Elena exclaimed, rushing into the room to find him battered but standing. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, a mix of relief and concern flashing through his eyes. "We're fine," she replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "You?" "I'm good. Just a few bruises." He looked past her to Miguel. "You're safe?" "Yeah, but they're still out there," Elena said, urgency returning. "We need to leave now." "Agreed," Jake said, his expression turning serious. "We have to be smart about this." As they plotted their escape, a sudden banging echoed from the front of the gas station. "They're coming," Miguel shouted, his voice filled with fear. "Get behind me," Jake ordered, stepping protectively in front of Elena and Miguel. "Jake, we can't just stand here," Elena urged, desperation seeping into her words. "We can't go out the front. They'll see us," Jake said, his mind racing. "We need to find another way." "Through the back exit," Elena suggested, pointing toward a door. "It leads to the alley behind the station." "Okay, let's go," Jake said, moving quickly. They slipped through the door, heartbeats pounding as they maneuvered through the narrow passage, knowing every second counted. Once they reached the alley, Jake turned to Elena, his eyes intense. "We need to split up. It'll be harder for them to track all three of us." "No. We can't," Elena protested, fear gripping her heart. "It's the best chance we have," Jake insisted. "You and Miguel head towards the riverbank. I'll draw them away." "Jake, please." Elena's voice quivered, fear and desperation mixing in her tone. "Trust me," he said firmly, his gaze locking onto hers. In that moment, something shifted. The weight of their connection hung in the air, the bond forged in the chaos of their survival. Finally, she nodded, her heart aching. "Just come back to us." "I will," he promised, leaning in closer, their faces inches apart. Elena's breath hitched, and for a moment, the world faded away, the danger, the chaos, everything but him. "Be safe," she whispered, her heart pounding. Jake's gaze softened, and he brushed a thumb against her cheek. You too. With one last lingering glance, they separated, Jake fading into the shadows, leaving Elena and Miguel to navigate the treacherous path ahead. Do you think he'll be okay? Miguel asked, concern etched on his young face. He has to be, Elena replied, forcing strength into her voice. He's strong. We'll meet up again. We just have to keep moving. They hurried toward the river, the sounds of the city fading behind them. As they reached the water's edge, Elena let out a shaky breath, her heart heavy with uncertainty. Do you think he'll come back? Miguel asked, his eyes wide with hope and fear. He will, Elena insisted, though a knot of worry twisted in her stomach. He's not just going to leave us. The night stretched on, filled with the sounds of water lapping against the shore and distant echoes of chaos. But then, a rustling came from the trees nearby, and Elena's heart raced. What was that? Maybe it's him, Miguel said, hope sparkling in his eyes. Jake! Elena called, her voice echoing in the night. Seconds stretched into eternity as they waited, breathless. Finally, a figure emerged from the darkness, Jake, panting but alive. I'm here, he called, relief flooding his voice. Elena rushed toward him, throwing her arms around his neck. You're okay. You're okay. I told you I'd come back, Jake replied, holding her tightly. Miguel joined them, relief washing over his face. We were so worried. I told you I'd get you out of there, Jake said, stepping back to look at them both. Elena's heart swelled with gratitude. Thank you for coming back. I wouldn't have left you, Jake said softly, his gaze locked onto hers. The moment hung in the air, the weight of their connection palpable. We're a team now, she said, her heart racing. We can't lose each other. Agreed, Jake replied, a hint of a smile breaking through his hardened exterior. As they settled near the riverbank, the chaos of the world outside faded, leaving only the three of them, survivors in a world of despair. In that moment, as they huddled together, love began to bloom amidst the ruins of their lives. Days turned into weeks as they navigated the perils of the zombie apocalypse together, their bond deepening with every challenge they faced. They scavenged for food, fought off the undead, and confronted ruthless gangs, each victory reinforcing their connection. One night, as they sat by a small fire, Elena turned to Jake, her heart racing. We've been through so much, she said, her voice soft. I know, he replied, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames. Do you ever think about what comes next? She asked, her heart pounding. What do you mean? Jake furrowed his brow, curiosity piqued. I mean, after all of this. After we survive. She paused, gathering her thoughts. What if we could rebuild? Together. Jake's gaze softened, the weight of her words sinking in. I haven't thought that far ahead, he admitted. I've only focused on survival. But what if we could have a life again? Elena pressed, her voice filled with hope. A family, a home. The idea hung in the air, a fragile thread of possibility. I'd like that, Jake said finally, his voice deep and steady. Elena's heart soared. You would? Yeah, he replied, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. I didn't think I could want anything more than survival. But with you, it feels different. In that moment, the world outside faded, and all that mattered was the space between them. Elena leaned closer, their lips brushing together in a tentative kiss, soft at first, then deepening with a hunger that had been building between them. Jake pulled her closer, the warmth of her body igniting something long dormant within him. As they kissed, the chaos of their lives melted away, leaving only the promise of something beautiful amidst the ruins. Wow, Miguel said, breaking the moment with a teasing grin. Get a room, you two. Elena pulled back, laughter spilling from her lips as she playfully shoved Jake. Shut up, Miguel. Jake chuckled, his heart lighter. You're just jealous. Whatever, Miguel scoffed, rolling his eyes but unable to hide his smile. As the fire crackled, their laughter filled the night, the bond between them solidifying. They were not just survivors, they were a family forged in the flames of chaos, ready to face whatever the world threw at them. But their happiness was short-lived. One fateful morning, as they prepared to scavenge for supplies, a group of ruthless survivors ambushed them, overpowering Jake and capturing Miguel. No. Elena screamed, her heart shattering as she watched her brother being dragged away. Stop. Let him go. Jake fought against his captors, but they were too strong. Elena, stay back. He yelled, anger and desperation coursing through him. Don't you touch him. She shouted, lunging forward, but a heavy hand caught her by the arm, pulling her back. Let him go. Jake roared, his heart racing. Shut up. One of the gang members spat, shoving Miguel to the ground. Elena's heart raced as she watched helplessly. We need to do something. She urged Jake, her voice trembling. I know, he replied, determination hardening his features. But we have to be smart. We can't charge in blindly. Miguel. Elena cried, her voice breaking. Listen to me, Jake said, gripping her shoulders. We'll get him back. I promise. We just need a plan. Tears streamed down Elena's face, but she nodded, forcing herself to focus. What's the plan? We'll create a distraction. Then, while they're occupied, we'll get Miguel, Jake said, his voice steady, resolve shining through even in the face of danger. I'll do whatever it takes, Elena vowed, wiping her tears. Okay, then we need to split up. I'll draw them away, and you go for Miguel, Jake instructed, his eyes fierce. We have to move fast. Together, Elena insisted, her voice firm. We do this together. Fine, Jake relented, a hint of a smile breaking through his worry. Just stay close. As they moved stealthily through the ruins, Elena's heart raced. They approached the gang's hideout, a dilapidated warehouse, the sounds of laughter echoing from within. Okay, now. Jake whispered, his eyes focused. He tossed a rock toward the opposite side of the building, the sound drawing the gang members' attention. What was that? One of them called out, moving away from the entrance. Now. Elena urged, sprinting toward the door. Jake followed closely behind, adrenaline pumping through his veins. They slipped inside, scanning the room for Miguel. Where is he? Elena whispered, panic rising in her chest. Check over there, Jake pointed toward a shadowy corner. Elena moved cautiously, her breath held as she searched for her brother. Suddenly, she spotted him, tied up but unharmed. Miguel. She cried, rushing toward him. Miguel. Jake called, his heart pounding as he moved to untie him. Get away from them. A gang member shouted, brandishing a weapon. Now. Jake shouted, grabbing Miguel's arm. They bolted toward the exit, but the gang members rushed in, blocking their path. You think you can just walk out of here? One of them sneered, raising his weapon. Jake stepped protectively in front of Elena and Miguel, determination etched on his face. We're not leaving without him, he said firmly. Then you'll regret it. The gang leader growled, his finger twitching on the trigger. In that split second, Elena's heart raced. She couldn't let them take Miguel again. She lunged forward, grabbing a nearby pipe and swinging it at the leader. The impact sent him staggering back, and the other gang members hesitated. Go. Now. Jake shouted, pushing Miguel toward the exit. Elena followed closely behind, adrenaline surging as they burst through the door. Run! Jake yelled, glancing back at the gang members who were regaining their composure. They sprinted through the streets, fear propelling them forward. We have to get to the river. Elena shouted, her heart pounding. As they reached the shore, they paused to catch their breath, the sound of chaos fading behind them. We made it, Miguel said, disbelief filling his voice. Elena wrapped her arms around him, relief flooding through her. I thought I lost you, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Never again, Miguel promised, squeezing her tightly. Jake stood nearby, watching them with a mix of relief and admiration. "You did good, Elena," he said, his voice low. "I couldn't have done it without you," she replied, her heart swelling with gratitude. As they stood by the riverbank, the world felt a little less dark. They had faced the horrors of the apocalypse together, and survived. "Together," Jake said, his gaze steady. "Together," Elena echoed, a smile breaking through her tears. In that moment, amidst the chaos and uncertainty of their lives, they found hope. Love blossomed in the shadows, a flicker of light in a world consumed by darkness. And as they looked toward the future, they knew they would face whatever came next, together. The end.
Thank you for listening. Let's spread the love. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, because everyone deserves a bit of romance.